other than, people need to, I guess maybe one thing I could say is that I would like to see more people who are either expats or traveling or doing all that sort of stuff kind of support like the local businesses and the local entrepreneurs and all this kind of thing, because they're at least you can give them an advantage. I mean, that happens a lot in Florianopolis, where I've spent a lot of time, is that there's almost everything here is run by locals.
Mm.
Almost everything, and we're from the gym to the bakery to the burger joint to all of it. And I guess it's I don't have as much of that problem. Europe, I know, is a bit of a different story because of how
Mm.
how much of a cultural mishmash it is, and with the European Union and all that sort of stuff, like it gets very complex. But anyway, I'm not going to go off on any more tangents here. But I don't have a good answer for you. I'm sorry.
No worries. I just wanted to hear your opinion. I mean, of course, if we would have solutions for everything, we will be trying to apply them. No, no, that's like that. Um, Actually, talking about supporting local entrepreneurships and building companies and having local stores, you build quite some companies on the road and built a lot of them while traveling, as far
Hmm.
as I understood.
Hmm.
What's the biggest operational challenges that you faced doing that? How do you can create companies on the go?
Man, the a lot of people talk about remote work and how good it is and all this sort of stuff. And look, remote work does come with a lot of benefits, right? And like the fact that you
Mm.
can get your shit done whenever you want to, that you've got a large talent pool to hire from, that you can. I mean, time zones are a double-edged sword. Sometimes time zones work out, because you can kind of keep, like, the business is always on. But sometimes time zones don't work because you want to get everybody synced up, which is very difficult when you're doing everything remotely and you're on different time zones. But I think for me, if I had to say one like primary difficulty, I would say that it is the lack of FaceTime with your team. Like, we just did a team offsite in Prague about a month and a bit ago, and we got more work done in that week than we would do in a month, maybe even 6 weeks remotely, because we could point at shit, we could laugh at each other, we can push each other, we could do all this sort of stuff. Now, granted, the pace at which we worked, I don't think is possible to sustain over the long term. I think we'd kill ourselves,
Mm.
because we were doing like 9 a.m. to 2 a.m., right? Like, we were basically working 20 hours a day, but we were trying to like squeeze all the juice of while we were together. Irrespective, that is something I really, really miss. Like having a war room, having like post-it notes on the wall and whiteboards and all this sort of stuff, and being able to like collaborate in person. That for me has been the most challenging thing to come to terms with, and to reestablish, or to sorry, not reestablish, that's the wrong word. Come to terms with and to have to readjust to as
Mm.
I've been building.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. No, the personal contact it's lost a little bit. I
Yeah, it
work
is.
remote
It is.
since
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
5 6 years also, and when you go to the offsites, it looks like this personal connection, and I don't know, you get things, discussions that normally would take longer, or you need to find a calendar appointment suddenly are happening over a
Oh,
coffee, or
friction. Yeah, exactly. It's friction,
yeah.
friction, friction, friction. So like this, it removes it. I think one commitment we made with the team was, we said, okay, what we need to do is, over the next in the coming years, we're going to do two offsites a year now, and
Mm.
we're going to try and like maximize, like, and extend the offsites, because this time we only did 7 days. So I think next time we're going to do like 14 days. And if we can do 14 days twice a year, I think that's going to really increase the amount of trust, the relationship between the team, the productivity, the syncing of the minds. Because when people always ask me about business, they're like, oh, what's the biggest challenge in business? For me, it's making sure that everybody is on the same psychological wavelength and they have the same vision inside their heads. That's the hardest thing. Because if you're a single uh, one man show in a business, you don't have to explain anything to everyone. You've got it here, and it can go from here through your fingers into the keyboard, into the code, into whatever, right? Like you can build it. You know, if you're an artisan, if you're an artist, you go straight from there. But being able to like take the message and try and keep the fidelity high as you are explaining it to someone or getting into someone's heads and all this sort of stuff is very, very, very challenging. I think people don't
Mm.
appreciate that about business. That's the hardest thing about business is and doing that and trying to coordinate a growing team who are on different time zones, who you don't have you're not with together and all this sort of stuff. It increases the complexity and the friction of it. So it's not easy, but clearly, obviously, it can be done. But that's I think that's one of the things that not enough people talk about when they think of remote work.
Mm. I mean, having a shared vision in companies, especially if it's small companies or startups, etc., makes the difference. I
Of
mean,
course,
if
yeah.
everyone works into the direction of an objective, that changes a lot. That's for sure. A little bit related to that, but maybe both on the business, but also on the personal level. Um, what about navigating legal systems, visas, bureaucracies while working abroad? Because that's another big topic. I don't know, like having a working visa, it's not the same as having a vacation visa. It's not the same as like, I don't know, taxation here and there, navigating bureaucracy. I know. ID verifications, stuff like these,
Oh
which are
man, this is.
you
I mean,
can't
this
tell
is
trouble, eh?
this is yeah. This is why I like Bitcoin because it's borderless and you don't have to worry about banking and all this other bullshit. But man, holy crap, dude! Like the world hasn't caught up with the nature of location independence.
Mm,
Like the and the bureaucrats specifically haven't caught up. They're still living in the 1800s, trying to like establish like, oh, where does your money come from and all this sort of stuff. It's such a shit show. Um, I don't know, man. We had a lot of trouble both in a personal and a professional capacity. Like I ultimately ended up getting myself set up with a tax residency in a low tax jurisdiction. I don't want to say where, but like
mm,
it's in low tax jurisdiction, and I created the structures necessary for me to be compliant, but also to be nimble and to be tax efficient, right? But it took a while, man. It took a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of expense, a lot of money to like kind of do all of that setup, which drove me crazy. Also, my wife is from Dominican Republic, and man, I having been from Australia, I never appreciated like this idea of like visa free travel, like because as an Australian, like, and you as a European, like you just go somewhere,
mm,
you get your passport stamped, and that's it. But
yeah.
fucking hell, man, like the amount of times we had to go and like apply for visas and beg for entry and all this kind of crap because of a passport really taught me like how lucky some of us are to have like a strong passport, for example.
Mm,
And I wish that stuff was easier. Like, I wish, like, wouldn't it, like, would it not make sense, for example, for someone who wants to travel somewhere, just put down a $10,000 bond or something like that, in the same way as you do with the real estate. You pay a deposit, which is your bond, so that if you damage the house or whatever, they just take it out from there, right? So it's
mm,
like if you overstay, then they just deduct it from that, so people can leave. Like there's this could be such easier ways to do this, but unfortunately, everything is stuck in bureaucracies and paperwork and appointments that you got to book months in advance, and you have to fly to do the thing, and stupid insurance, like all of this kind of crap. It's very, very inefficient. It's driven me crazy over the last couple of years having to deal with that, which is, I think, also part of why we wanted to kind of set a base and kind of settle for a little bit, because
mm.
the amount of crap we went through with that, it was a nightmare.
Yeah. This kind of processes, and it makes you realize the privilege, of being a European, Australian man, white, the whole bundle pack that it comes with these kind of things when you start traveling around with people who doesn't have this capacity, and absolutely. Good. I would say looking at the time and checking a little bit before we jump to a little bit more funny mini games
That's it.
to learn a bit more about your life and your expat experience and nomad experience. Um, would you? What would be the hack, the life hack, the advice, the most powerful tip that you would give to someone who wants to be or build a location independent life?
One life hack. I remember reading this in your description, and I was kind of thinking of a couple different ones. My one would be to have a local friend in the places that you want to go to, or
Mm.
someone friend of a friend or something like that, right? And these days there's all sorts of tools where you can find those friends and find people who are values aligned. I mean, part of why we're building Satlantis is that so you can find those kind of people, and you can very quickly see whether your interests and your values align inside the app. But you could also do that through meetups, through events, through find a Telegram group, WhatsApp group, or whatever. But having someone local on the ground that you either have a direct relationship with or a proxy relationship with changes everything when you're traveling. Like, if you have to go and figure it out every single time by looking at Google Maps and searching Google and asking ChatGPT and all this sort of stuff, you're not gonna have a good time. Like, you can do that. It's a method, and sometimes you'll be stuck because you can't have a friend everywhere. But like the personal touch, like having somebody, I think changes the experience from a 5 to a 9.
Yeah. That's a very good one, actually. I also recommend getting also because these people, if you have bureaucratic problems, or like I don't know, you need to go to the hospital, whatever. Normally, they know how the system works,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they are the ones who are able to lend a hand. Cool. Then I would say we jump to the next section. I prepared a couple of mini games. It's like I call it mini games, but at the end it's just questions, a little bit more rapid fire and a rapid statement.